and welcome to another What I Think review and part 3 of my mega review of the September 2022, as far as I'm aware at the time of recording, sets for B&M Doctor Who figure sets. In the first video we looked at the 10th Doctor set. In the second video we looked at the 8th Doctor set. Please go and look at those if you haven't already. And today for part 3 we are going to be looking at the history of the Dalek sets. Little interruption here from post-recording review Jimmy. It turns out that there's actually been a little bit of a shipping mistake and I am one set short here. I do not have the history of the Daleks number 9 set. However, I have been told that it is on its way, so whilst it's not part of these 3 reviews, that set will be coming as an advanced review when I get it in future. But before we get on to the review, there's a couple of points I want to address, which I'll be making at the start of each video, probably using this very same footage to save time, because I know this particular set of releases is going to divide opinion, and I don't want to keep responding to the same things in the comments. First point, obviously I've gotten these in advance of them being released and announced, so to make sure that I was in full possession of the facts, I got in touch with Al Jawad to clarify a couple of points before I filmed these reviews. Now, there are some obvious changes to the figures and packing, which I will be going into in each review, but in short, the reason for them is one of budget. I'm sure that some people will no doubt complain about some things, but let's be clear here. This is not a case of CO cutting corners or B&M having less faith in the range or anything like that, which people love to complain, to claim, without proof, although they love to complain about it as well. The reason for these cuts, and I say cuts in inverted quotes, is that CO are having to make the budget go as far as it can now to ensure this range continues. The cost of production for many things, including figures, has risen in recent years, and like many other things, it's also been affected by the financial impact of COVID. You know, I know it might seem silly, you think, well, COVID's a virus, things like that, but you know, more people had the virus, less people to work, delays in production, delays then get caught up, and you know, it's a knock-on effect. It takes time to recover from these things. So it might seem that, you know, COVID was several years ago, because it was, but the effects of it are still being felt, you know, today. You know, and as such, whilst CO might be having to make these changes and cuts, they aren't doing so lightly. You know, they're not, they're not deciding to just say, oh, we can cut this, we can cut that. It is, a lot of thought is being put into the process of this. And you know, whilst we might all have our thoughts on this matters, I'm going to certainly give my own in the course of these reviews. This is a legitimate reason, you know, for these cuts being done, whether we like it or not. Secondly, at the time of recording, the retail prices for these are still unconfirmed. There were rumours about a price increase, however, again at the time of recording, this hasn't been confirmed as true or not. As such, at the time you will all be seeing this video, the retail prices will be shown in a caption here in the video, but in the event they are increased, because obviously I don't know if they are, it's again worth saying that this can only help increase the budget and will avoid other corners having to be cut in future. You know, I'm sure some people are going to say that they're giving us less but charging us more, but please remember there is a reason for this, and we shouldn't quibble over what is most likely only going to be an extra couple of quid in order to keep this range alive. Yes, lots of people are struggling financially at the moment, and those extra couple of quid might make a difference, but also, let's be honest, these are toys. They're luxury items. They are not an essential part of the cost of living. You know, if you don't, I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt here, if you don't like the figures, fine. But no one is forcing you to buy them, nor does your life depend on having exactly what you want at the price you want it. I'm sorry, that's not how life works. You know, and I am aware as well, it's all well and good for me to be standing here saying this, having gotten these in advance to review for nothing, but as often as I do get those, I still will buy more sets myself for either display or customs. So I'm still very much in the same boat in that respect. If I want extra figures, I've still got to go and pay those prices, you know. That's the way it is. You know, am I happy about some of the cuts being made to these sets? No, I'm not, and I'm going to, you know, make my own thoughts clear on that. Am I going to act like it's a huge travesty? Absolutely not, because at the end of the day, I, and I'm sure many others, are just happy to have this range continue. It might not be exactly what we want, but at the end of the day, it's better than nothing at all. And, you know, we've had at times we've had double this amount of figures, you know, but I look at this and think like, look, we've got 6 figures here, we've got 2 Daleks. I'm happy with that. You know, it's not as much as I would have liked. Yeah, there's no TARDIS, but it's a possibility that the TARDIS may be coming later in the year, along with other Daleks, along with other figures. But for now, I think what we've got here, you know, despite the few criticisms I'm going to have, is going to be fantastic. But now we've got all of that out the way, let's crack on and look at the history of the Daleks set. So here we have our history of the Daleks set of Death to the Daleks. I'm actually going to start with the back of the box because I've got a fair bit to say on the front, actually, which I'm going to come back to in a second. So back of the box, obviously, we have our information about Death to the Daleks, and then we have our nice little bit of behind-the-scenes info. It's great to see all of this still on here. You know, it is one of those things that I've, you know, mentioned in the past and say it'd be nice to have this little bit of information on some of the other boxes. Obviously, it's been on the back of the history of the Daleks boxes, but obviously on this one as well, this doesn't have pictures on the back, but, you know, again, I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, it's nice to have the synopsis of the episode and the behind-the-scenes info, especially for those who haven't seen it, so, you know, that's not something I'm gonna kick up a fuss about. I think it looks very good. But now, if we turn around to the front of the box, as you can see, there is a fair difference to the front of the box. Now, firstly, the shape of the box, the actual size of the box is the same, but the shape of the box is slightly different because it's now got a, the base lip here is actually taller, and previously the sticker was on the plastic covering, which obviously this now doesn't have. Again, come back to that in a minute. So the style of the box has changed ever so slightly. Now, the insert, obviously on the previous history of the Dalek sets, had something that was very themed to the episode. This one obviously doesn't. Again, that was one of those things that I asked Al Jawar about when I got in touch with him before filming this review. That, along with the change in plastic, i.e. having this blister plastic actually attached to the backdrop, and no plastic insert, and no cover plastic, and no specific insert, they have all been taken out for budgetary reasons. It is, of course, obviously a shame. You know, the inserts, plus with their little details and things, were very nice, but they were an extra. You know, I'm not going to really quibble about them not being in there because at the end of the day, you know, it was just one of those nice little extra features. If they're not there, it doesn't detract from the actual figures in the set because that is really what they are about. But the box change and the plastic change, I do have some thoughts on. And I have a bit of an open question to character options because of that. And it is that, would it really be that much of a budget expense to have the plastic insert and the plastic covering back? Obviously, now, I appreciate that because it's been done, it obviously is, and you know that's not to turn around and say, well, I think CO could have done this or that, because you know I don't want to be one of those people. I used to say things like that in the past before I knew about everything, and I really do get the budget constraints and things like this. But there's a bit of a problem with this that I think is going to irk a lot of people. And again, I get that it's a budget thing. Please don't get me wrong, but here's the issue. When I got these, I was looking at them thinking, right, these are going to be difficult to take out of the box and be able to put back in for display purposes, because obviously where this new plastic insert is fixed to the backdrop, I've got to take it off, and unless I glue it back on, I can't. The nice thing about the previous way you do them is you could open them and put them back in, and you could take them out as and when you wanted. This is much more opening is a one-shot deal, and part of me thought, well, they're just normal Death Daleks, maybe I could get away with not opening them to review them, and obviously immediately I thought, no, that's not fair, because I really don't like to do that, you know. I have done it in the past with some sort of very minor things, but, you know, I've been given these to review. I do feel like I should open them, especially as I know there's at least one new part on this, which I do want to show. So I'm going to try and open these in a way that I can put them back in the box, but I do just think this is a bit of a mistake in terms of a box change. And again, I get it's budgetary, but I think having the plastic insert and the plastic covering is better because it does mean that people can put them on display. And, you know, I know some other people are probably going to think this, and if it first thought to me, I thought, well, you could still have the plastic insert and have the figures fixed into the box with the ties. But the problem there is then the figures are exposed to the elements on the shelves and whatnot and things like that, and people could just come along and take them out of the packaging because they can just reach in and get them. And I'm going to be honest, I think that's going to be an issue with these ones as well, or it wouldn't surprise me if it is, because this is just fixed onto the back. There is nothing to stop somebody coming in. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to ruin it, and just ripping off this plastic and taking the Dalek. I want to make it clear, I'm not giving people ideas. I really don't want to give people that idea, but I know the way people's minds work. I've seen it with other things. I know it's been an issue. I've seen it raised about some of the Thomas the Tank Engine merchandise, where they've had these little blister packs of locomotives, and people like Leokin Video who've gone out to shops and they've noticed that the blister packs have just been opened and people have nicked the trains out the top, you know. So I think it is just one of those things that I think it is going to be a bit of a mistake to make this change. And the question I want to put forward to CEO is, would it be that much of a budget thing to be able to go back to using the plastic? And I get that there's probably an element of, you know, green and, you know, eco-friendly and less plastic and whatnot and things like that. But personally, if it meant, you know, I know, right, I think everyone, and I think the same, I think all of us would turn around and go, no, I want to have the old box with the nice graphical insert and the old style plastic. Of course we would. Now, if it meant getting back the plastic, I would rather have the plastic back with the cover and everything as it was and not have an insert than have this, or have the insert with this kind of plastic. That is just my thoughts, you know, because at the end of the day, people are going to want to display these in their boxes. You know, many people are. I'm going to be one of them, and this is going to be a difficult thing to display in the box. As I said, I'm going to try and open this in a way that I can put these back in the box, in the blister pack, without damaging it. It's going to be impossible. I'm going to have to, you know, do something to open it. So let's see how well what I'm planning to do works. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I really do want to raise that as a point, that I think this is something that they need to go back and revise. Because again, I really do understand. I really don't want to make it seem like I'm saying, well, this is unacceptable, CEO should be giving this. I'm fully aware of the constraints they have to do budget-wise, and if this is one of them, and it really is impossible to have the plastic insert and the plastic cover, then you know what, so be it. If it means that this is what the future of the range is going to be, I'm not going to be happy about it, but if it means we keep getting the figures, I will accept it as a necessary change. But I think that is definitely going to be one of those things that people are going to pick up on. So I do want to make it the point here, and you know, if it does lead to the change of having it back the way it was, then you know, that's a good thing. If not, then you know, I really do think it's a bit of a shame, and I don't want that to seem like I'm making that as a reason not to buy this set. At the end of the day, these are toys. They're not meant to be taken out of the box. I know it says limited edition collector's figure set and things like that, but they're still toys. Toys are meant to be taken out of the box and played with. And if you want to keep these in the box to display them, buy more than one set. You know, if anything, you could say that that's actually quite a good thing, having done this like this, because it means they will sell more, therefore more budget, therefore potentially being able to build, you know, to build up again, to being able to have the box, you know, back to the way it was. And let's be honest, these Dalek sets, people are going to buy multiples of these because they're good for army building, you know. So I don't think it's necessarily, you know, it's not a choice that I necessarily agree with, but there are silver linings to it. But let's get into having a look at the actual Daleks in the box. Okay, as you can see, I haven't quite taken these out of the box yet, but there is a reason I want to show this as well. So this is taking them out of the box. Obviously, the previous ones, because it had the plastic insert on it, it made the box a bit more rigid. But these ones, the box is just more fragile, and I can see just, you know, in stores, if these tabs give out or things like that, you know, things are just, the box is just going to start to fall apart a bit easier. I know it's a small gripe. Please, I really don't want to seem like I'm really picking here, but it is just something that I think I need to raise as a quality control thing. You know, it is the box. It's not the figures, and the box is just what the figures come in. The whole point of these figures is they're made to be taken out of the box. But like I said, is, you know, the box really is just sort of coming apart here, and I think it is. I don't agree. I don't agree with the choice of this. I'm sorry to really be blunt like that, but I don't. I think it does need to go back the way it is. But again, I say that with all due respect to the limitations of the budget. But I really do want to be honest with my reviews and just give my couple of cents here, because I know I'm not going to be the only person that thinks this, and I think it is a point worth raising. But you know, let's get on to actually looking at the figures. Okay, I've decided to put this bit in the video just because I think it will be helpful for other people as well who maybe want to get these figures and try and keep them in the box. So obviously what I've done here is very carefully looking around the edge of the inside as I go round. As you can see, I have basically created a little bit of a sort of flap on the back, which means you can get the Daleks in and out of the box. And obviously then when it is closed, you can put a bit of tape on the back. But when it's closed and the Daleks are in there, you can't quite see it. You know, it's not perfect, but I don't think it's necessarily it's necessarily the worst way of doing it. The only thing I will say is just be very careful when you're cutting around the edge with a scalpel or something. Not necessarily just because you don't want to cut yourself, but also because it would be very easy to scratch the Daleks if you move in a little bit too far. But you know, again, for people that want to keep it in the box, hopefully this is a great little thing you could do. Of course, it is perfectly possible that what you could also do, because the box size hasn't changed much, is to take one of the plastic inserts out of the previous releases and put the Daleks in there. I did consider doing that. Unfortunately, I don't have one spare, but that might work as well. But for the sake of people that want to take them out of the boxes and maybe put them back in, this is probably the best option if you're planning to display them in the boxes. So I just thought I'd put this in here just for anyone who might also be interested. So here we have the Death Daleks out of the boxes. They're very nice Daleks. The Death design has always been one of my favourite ones. So yeah, they're really nice designs. It's nice that we've got the drone and we've also got the machine gun version with the different coloured dome lights. Also, I don't know how easy it is to come up on video, but some of you will notice this as you get these, and I have had this confirmed by Al Jawar. The slats are an entirely new sculpt, so we do have some little new pieces on this as well. But yeah, it's nice to see those on there. They do just look nice, a little bit updated. Obviously the paintwork is very nice on them. The nice slightly more metallic silver works very well. Yeah, I can certainly see these ones as being, you know, nice ones that are going to be good for army building. Obviously, you know, there's not a whole lot to say about them again, but you know, the nice thing about this, as I said, is I've said a lot of I've made a lot of queries over the box and things like that, but you know, the actual figures themselves, I'm actually pretty pleased with. I don't really have a lot bad, if anything, to say about them. The only slight thing that I have noticed is on the back, you might be able to notice this, is that the section under the slats, again, doesn't appear to have been painted. I would assume that that is a factory error. It's a bit of a sad thing that that's now been missed twice, but you know, these things happen, and again, it doesn't detract from the actual figures themselves, and it wouldn't be that much work for customizers or anyone out there, indeed, to paint those bits black. And again, you know, with the limitations of budget, I don't think that was a budgetary reason. I would assume that is a factory error, but you know, they've obviously got lots of more other things that they need to be, that they're dealing with in terms of things like that. So if little things like that get missed, it's a bit of a shame, but you know, as I said, it happens. It's you know, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so I've got one little extra piece to show you all here. This box has now been slightly modified. I want to make it very clear though, because I don't like to modify my, I don't like to customize, sorry, my advanced samples. I haven't customized the figures, and I actually haven't customized this box. I know that might seem a bit odd given how different it looks, but let me explain. So I've still got the original box insert in storage. I haven't gotten rid of that, but all I've done here is take the existing box, the History of the Daleks Set 10 box, and the Death to the Daleks inside them. I have then taken a spare plastic insert, backdrop and plastic box part from a previous History of the Daleks set that I had lying around. I think this was the Power of the Daleks backdrop and set from again a spare box that I've had from where I bought when I bought other ones. But the reason that I wanted to do this was to show just exactly how how much better it looks like this. So all I've done here, again, I haven't modified this box. All I've done is put the inserts in, and the plastic box part, again, I've just fitted that inside. It's not actually attached to anything. So the original box is still very much intact. I haven't customized it. I've just put a few extra things inside it. But yeah, you know, I really don't want to seem like I'm being picky here, but I think this is a much better way to do it. And again, I understand completely that you know, that the plastic insert, the backdrop, and the plastic box part have been taken out due to budgetary reasons. But you know, speaking personally, I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I'm sure some people may disagree, which is fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But personally, I would say I would happily not get the backdrops, you know, the themed backdrops in it, if it just meant getting back these bits of, you know, this plastic exterior and the plastic interior as well. And again, speaking personally, because, you know, again, I do get these as advanced sets, but I also do go out and buy extra sets at times. I would be willing to pay a few more quid to get the plastic back in these sets, because I just think it does look better, and it does make the set stand out a bit more. As I said, if the backdrop wasn't there, the theme backdrop, it would be a bit of a shame to lose that. But you know what? I think that would be a willing sacrifice to have a much more sturdier and better looking box. You know, I'm sure there are people that would say it the other way around. They would rather have the themed inserts and have the, you know, the new sort of vacuum formed plastic. But you know, as I said, I just wanted to throw my hat into the ring here and throw my not hat into the ring, put my cards on and say, well, whatever kind of analogy you want to use. I wanted to put my thoughts into it, and you know, and just take a moment just to do something with this box and show the kind of thing that I would have liked to have seen it. And hopefully, you know, there's every chance we may see this in future. You never know. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in just as a little extra piece. And that brings to a close part 3 of this mega review. Obviously, at the end of this mega review, I do like to give my sort of final thoughts, but I do record these in advance. Obviously, I haven't actually had the figures out of the pack yet. But, you know, I have a good idea of the sort of things that, you know, I'm just looking at the figures in their boxes, what I'd like to say. So, you know, in closing, in general, I'd like to say again, you know, stress the point that these aren't, you know, there's lots of things in this in terms of figure choices, design choices, and packaging choices, which aren't exactly what we want. You know, even before I've opened them at this point, I can see a couple of points which I know I'm going to raise in the video, which are not perfect. But at the end of the day, what we've got in here, I think, looks great. You know, the packaging changes, whilst stylistic choices are a little bit off, I still think it's understandable given the budget limitations. And you know, if this is the future of the range, it isn't personally what I would like to see, but at the same time, I'm just happy to know that we're still getting these figures. I'm still certainly, as I said, going to get several sets, because there's definitely some pieces in here that I would like to get and put on display, and at least a couple of others that I would definitely be using for some customs. So yeah, really, really nice figures. Definitely ones worth picking up personally. You know, it is very much down to individuals, you know, but as I said, please remember, if you're not happy with these figures, you're not being forced to buy them. You don't have to buy them. You know, I get the feeling that these are going to divide opinion, but I also get the feeling that I think CO are going to get a lot of flack over these, which is going to be very undeserved. You know, there are going to be people out there who are really going to take a very entitled standpoint on these figures, and I think that is a real shame, because you're not entitled to them. You know, they're toys, they're figures. Just because you like the show and have bought previous figures doesn't mean that you should get whatever you want in future. You know, I'm sorry to be harsh and very critical like that, but I think that is the way it is. You know, I've in the past seen a lot of people go on about how, oh, CO could have done this, CO could have done that, and you know, in the past I said things like that long in the past, before I knew what went into the production of figures and things like that. And again, I don't want to have a go at people, so if I'm going to give constructive criticism, please go and look at really what goes into the making of you know, figure production and budgets and things like that, because it's so much more comprehensive and expensive than you think it is. And I think it really does put into perspective what we get in these sets, but also how lucky we are at times to get what we do get, given how much this stuff, you know, this stuff costs. But that brings to a close part 3 of this mega review. So, as always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. And be sure to description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation and you can get involved. There is exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you in another video very soon.